Hello, good evening everyone. It's already evening. Yes, it's been a long day, wasn't it? Well, now we'll continue the lesson about the present perfect and the continuous. And you may say, oh my god, we are seeing all this through again. No, it's not the same thing. That's because we are seeing different perspectives, different aspects of the present perfect tense. And yes, there will be some lessons about it. Even when we finish this verb tense and move forward, there will be many references to the previous verb tenses because it's as if the verb tenses are the pillars of English grammar. It's necessary to understand them. Okay? So, enough talk. Let's get going. Let's start. Yes, this was the happy face from the previous lesson, right? Okay. Let me see where we stopped. We have seen the situation here in which we use he, she, or it. Remember? So I keep track of everything. This is what I wrote, right? This is as if this is my blackboard and everything is here. So I can keep track of everything. Okay, remember the for and since thing. The present perfect continuous has many aspects regarding some expressions which are very relevant to English. Let me find the best position here to sit because my back hurts. Oh God. Being sit all day and it does terribly to your back, right? So from time to time it's necessary to stand up and to stretch your arms, make some to have some exercises. So it's highly necessary. Okay, I know we have seen this already about the differences between for and since, right? Since, it's when we want to show when something started, okay, the beginning of the action, and then until this period. For example, since 1990. It means that this period of time comes from 1990 until nowadays. It's still happening, right? For, on the other hand, it limits the time. It's an interval of time in which you specify the beginning and the end of the action. Okay, so we have already seen this. It's easy. I have worked with English language for example, 5 years. That's not the case, right? It's just an example. I have worked with English language for 5 years. 5 years. Now we are in 2020, okay? So 5 years from now, it would be 2015. From 2015 until 2020, right? It started there and it ended there. Does it mean that the action ended? Not necessarily, right? I'm stipulating in the beginning and the end of the action, even when the action, the ending is now. Because I can't predict whether I will be working with English language in the future, right? It's impossible. We don't know about our future. Although you may have intended to work with English language. Okay, so that's just a way of seeing this. And for, okay, is very easy. And there are other expressions as well. When, for example, you say all your life. All your life says for itself, it's all your life since you were born. Okay? I was born, for example, in 1982, right? It's my case. So I was born in 1982. I have lived, I have been living in Rio all my life. This is an example, right? Because that's not true. And I will give an example with this in my real life. You will see the next sentence. So that sentence shows that the person has lived from the beginning of his life, right? Since the moment he or she was born until the end, until now, up to now, right? Up to the moment. In my case, I can say I have lived in Monlevade. Monlevade is my hometown, right? João Monlevade is my hometown. I have lived in João Monlevade for 26 years. 26 years, okay? Or I can say I have lived. If I say I have lived in Monlevade since 1982, the idea is different from the previous sentence, because since means that from 1982 until now, I live in Monlevade, and that's not true. So I have to specify the period of time I have lived there. I have lived in Monlevade for 26 years. And then I can say I have been living in Rio since 2008. You see the difference? Here, when I say I have lived in Monlevade for 26 years, it means that it was an action in the past. It started in the past, when I was born, of course, and it continued until 2008. And then I left my hometown to Rio. I traveled to Rio, which became my new home. So I have been living in Rio since 2008. All right, so it's pretty easy, right? Now, let's see in which situation we use the double H word when. When is related to time, right? We have others. For example, who, it relates to people. You have what, it relates to things. You have where, it relates to places. You have which, when you have, for example, which do you prefer, ice cream or candy? Which of them? So you use this a double H word like this. And there are some question expressions such as how many, how much. It's not this lesson, right? I'm just giving examples of question expressions which have different meanings. So they have different meanings, as a matter of fact. And it's important to understand the meaning of them. Okay, so when is different than how long? When you talk, when referring to when, it means that you want to know something that happened in the past, at a specific point in the past. Right? You are here and you want to know when something happened. When did you leave Montlevade? When did you leave Montlevade? For example, I left Montlevade in 2008. Okay? I want to know something that happened. I want to know at what time in the past you did something. But when you say how long is different. For example, remember that example of the ground is wet. Remember, the ground is wet because it has been raining, right? So you can say it has been raining for 1 hour. It has been raining for 1 hour, and now the ground is wet. Although the expression refers to a period of time in the past, it was a continuous action that happened in the past, but it's not past, it's near present, and it has connection with the present here because the ground is wet. So it has been raining for 1 hour. Okay, but when you say, for example, when did you start reading that book? When did you start reading that book? And then when is used in simple past expressions. You can see from here the auxiliary verb did. So you answer, I started reading it last week. You see the expression last week. It's a point in the past that has no connection with the present. I don't want to know here how long you have been reading that book. I just want to know the start of your reading the book. Okay? And then you say, Thales, why read here has ing? This is another rule that we have to see in the future. There are some verbs, some expressions, start, stop, begin. If you have another verb following, right, it has two verbs, one after another. The next verb has to be with ing. Quit, for example, is another example. But this is not the focus of the lesson. I just want to emphasize that this ing has nothing to do with continuous tense. No, it's not continuous tense. You just add ing because that is a rule in which specifies that after a variety of verbs, not only these verbs, there are others, you have to put another verb followed by ing if it has another verb, not necessarily the sentence you are making has to have two verbs. It's not mandatory, okay? All right, so that's it for this lesson. Afterwards, we continue the explanation of other examples. Bye-bye.